Hello once again to all our viewers, our stakeholders, the faculty, the staff, students, and the alumni of Foundation University. We have just celebrated our Diamond Jubilee, our 75th year, and everyone on campus is still very much agog and very much enthusiastic and still on high five because of the recent celebration. This is Cecil Henove, and here we are again. It's another Thursday evening, and I think our viewers have made Thursdays as your regular habit. So here we are again on iGreyhound. So for tonight's episode, friends, we are interviewing the eldest among the sons of our university president, Sir Victor Vicente Dean Sinco, and I'd like to introduce him as well to you because he also sits in the Board of Trustees of Foundation University. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, all our viewers may introduce to everyone Mr. Chris Sinco. Hi, Chris, and welcome to iGreyhound.
Hi, Sil. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, and I'd like to say welcome back home because this is your home, of course, and the entire family is here to celebrate the 75th Diamond or the Diamond Anniversary or Jubilee of our university. Now, Chris, tell us, no? You were here as a child. You studied high school, right? Here in Foundation University and then in another university and onwards. But now that you are a professional, tell us, Chris, because you are with Google, no? I gathered that, but your work or your field is something that may not exactly be very familiar to the Filipino audiences. You're a senior staff interaction designer at Google. And in fact, I wanted to ask you, are you also a tool designer? But perhaps you should answer the first question. What is being a staff interaction designer is in Google?
Well, the senior staff part is more just like seniority.
Yeah, yes,
so
okay. Maybe the staff.
Just interaction designer is really the
interaction
job.
Designer, yeah, right.
There's different versions of it, but you can call it interaction designer, or some people might know it as user experience designer, or UX designer. Some people call it product designer, or sometimes it's just easy to say designer.
Okay.
But primarily what people like me do is we design software that people use.
Okay.
So we sometimes, or the easiest way to think about it is like whenever you use an app on your phone or a website, someone consciously made a decision of like how to design that thing. And so they had to think about like, you know, what are the colors to use? What is the right type? But even more importantly, why is someone even using this thing?
Okay.
And so as a designer, you have to kind of think about all those things. You have to think about, well, what is the person, or what we call the user? What is the user planning to do with this piece of software? And how can you make it as easy as as delightful as possible for them to keep using the software? So yeah, that's...
Yeah, yes.
So we work very closely with what are traditionally called like software engineers. So oftentimes we work together, like there's someone who's writing the code for the software, and then there's someone who's designing the interface, and the two people usually work together.
Yeah.
It took me years to figure this out, but it's actually very similar to my father as an architect.
Ah, okay.
Someone has to design the house, and then someone has to build the house.
Yeah, right.
But the two people have to work together because usually the people building the house are like, what is the design? And then the architect is like, as the house is being built, sometimes things don't always go to plan. And so the architect has to help the carpenters or the people building the house to decide, okay, well, if we can't do it this way, then how do we adjust it?
Yeah.
So,
you mentioned that there is actually a diversified number of clients that make use of whatever gadgets or whatever like programs that you may be designing. But how do you identify which among those that your clients would need? Because after all, they are diversified. They may need or they may want certain things, no? But you cannot please everyone, or you cannot cater to what everyone needs.
Yeah, there's no easy way to do it. It kind of depends what you're doing. Like, I think you were speaking with my brother earlier about startups. A lot of it is you have to do a lot of hard work to figure out who the software is for.
Yeah, so that is right.
Sometimes you have a good idea. Sometimes you're like, oh, I think people would really find this useful. And so then you spend all this time building it, but then as soon as you test it and put it in front of someone, usually it takes about a minute for them to say, no, this is not exact, this is not, I would not use this, or this is good, but it could be better. And I think it really depends what the software's for. Like, if it's for something very specific, like recording, like studio recording software, usually you're only designing that for professionals who do studio recording. And so the way you could approach that is you spend a lot of time talking to people who work in studios. But then at the same time, like if you're designing YouTube, everyone in the world uses YouTube, and everyone watches videos differently, and so it's pretty hard to design it perfectly for everyone. And I think you're never going to please everyone.
Definitely.
And so I think sometimes you have to just make the best decision with the knowledge you have. Build it, release it, and then wait for someone to complain. And if enough people complain, then then you can do something. But sometimes you don't have to. So that's actually the other part of being a designer, is like how to take feedback. Because everyone is a critic. So
how to take feedback favorably. And perhaps maybe move on from the feedback, no? Whether they're negative or perhaps something that would really prop you up, no, as a designer. But you also said, Chris, that you started out as a software development engineer. Would this be something that is like something like where you should initially start off now that you're a designer? So first, meaning you start off as a software development engineer, then onwards to being a tool designer?
I think some people, I don't know, I guess my personal opinion is that I think the analogy I use, which I think actually goes back to architecture, is in order to be the best designer, or in order to be the best architect, you have to know how people build houses, or how materials work, like how does wood and metal work, how do these things come together. You have to know physics, like, because if you design a house and then it's ultimately structurally unstable, and someone tries to live in it and then it falls, then they're dead. So you have to actually spend a lot of time understanding the materials you're working with. So when it comes to software, a lot of people, or a lot of designers out there think, there are many designers in these days starting their career where they don't actually want to, they go to design school, but they don't actually learn how to build software themselves. It's kind of like, well, my job is the designer, your job is the engineer. We can work together, but like, I don't necessarily need to know how things are made. And I actually think that's not a good way to do it, because the more you understand how things are made, the better your design can be, because inevitably, there will be something that you've designed, the engineer will build it, and then you show it to a user, and then something unexpected happens. And so then you have to both discuss, well, what do we do? And so there's always trade-offs, and there's time. Like sometimes people spend too much time perfecting software, and you can't wait, because especially now, there's a lot of people in the world, from the Western countries to the developing countries, like basically anyone who has internet can make an app.
In fact, listening to you, Chris, no, I would probably say you cannot work on a compartmentalized manner, no? You really have to work as a team. You have to work with other people. I think that was how you described it, no? You cannot be compartmentalized. I'm alone here. Here I am, this is my job, and this is your job. Now, you cannot do that in the field where you are in, no? So it has to be a combination, a conglomeration of talents maybe, and skills, and capabilities.
Yeah, and I think it just helps to, I think as a designer, it still helps to know how to write code. Because sometimes it's hard to express your ideas through just pictures. A lot of people, want to know how it feels to use an application or try it. And if you just show them an image, sometimes it's not, it doesn't really sell the idea.
okay. So in other words, it's really visual, no? It's visual and at the same time something that you can really put to use or make use of, no? In the, well, I'm thinking of the business process outsourcing industry, specifically in the Philippines and even in Dumaguete, no? How helpful would coding be in their job, and how helpful would the things that you have been doing, especially at Google, no? Being a designer, help them in their particular industry? I'm talking about the business process outsourcing industry.
For outsourcing, like if people in the Philippines are being asked to write code for other country or clients in other places, being very good at writing code is probably the bare minimum. It's kind of expected that you can write high quality code, because I think if things are being outsourced, people will look at you and say, well, if you do a bad job, I can go find someone else. And so you have to prove yourself first, like that you can do the job. And then with design, design is what actually makes you stand out. I think, like I said, like these days, everyone can make an app. If you think about, do you take notes on your phone?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
There are thousands of note-taking apps in the App Store.
Oh. Yeah.
But you seem to choose the one. There is one you really like, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's probably because it's designed to fit what you want. And so everyone can make the app, but if you spend the time to design it and differentiate it and make it really, really good, that's what makes you stand out. And that's where design, I think, actually becomes really important in tech, because at the same time, everyone has this opportunity to make something. Yeah. But if you actually want to stand out and be used by people, a lot of people, you have to really design it well.
Okay, yeah. In fact, listening to you, no, taking down notes and all things that our phones can do for us, no. How would you filter, if that would be the correct word, filter things that you design, or maybe apps that you design or tools that you design? Does it go through an intensive process, perhaps? Consultations, maybe research? Because as you had mentioned, no, your audience is really diversified and you cannot please everybody.
It's a lot of things, actually. So what I do is I try to put myself in the shoes of the person who's using it. So right now I work on tools for developers who make apps for Android. And so I design these tools to help people make apps. And so I have to think, well, what would be be an Android developer to even understand what it means? Because if I'm designing a tool, it's I'd want something that I would actually use. And so and this is where the software engineering background has become very helpful. I do spend a lot of time building Android apps, primarily because I like building things, but also because I use my own tools to figure out, oh, that doesn't make sense, or that's annoying. Why did I make that decision? So it's a lot of trial and error, and it's constant. It's every day, it's every week. So that's my personal, what I do. But then there's also, you also work with a team. So as a designer, we often have a researcher who's the one who's kind of conducting studies and asking people questions about what do you think about this thing? But I also, what I spend a lot of time doing, sometimes on social media, sometimes in person at conferences or seminars, is I will talk to Android developers and say, hey, I designed this feature. What do you think about it? And I will say, just be honest. I won't be offended.
Ah, really? So it's an honest feedback. Very good.
So and I think the phrase designers always use is design is never done.
Yeah, a design is always a work in progress, perhaps, no? Yeah. How often, I'm just curious, no? How often does one innovate, perhaps change, modify, whatever, a particular design? Like in your case, Chris.
For tools, actually, you don't want to change the design too much because people get very used to the tool.
Exactly, no?
Especially,
or people get comfortable with it and get used to it.
And sometimes they use this tool for 8 hours a day. And they become masters at it. And if you change it, they have to learn it again.
Yes, exactly. And it's going to be the end of the world.
Yeah. And they get upset because they're like,
Yeah.
I can't be productive because
Yeah.
you changed it.
Okay,
So
okay.
what we often do is we spend a lot of time in the beginning
Okay.
doing iterations and trying to find what's the right design,
Mm,
because we know that once we design it and we release it,
okay.
it will become very hard
Yeah.
to change it because people will be very resistant. So,
True.
but at the same time, other apps actually encourage changing. So,
Okay.
you know, apps like social media apps
Yeah.
actually are a good example. Like people like fresh new designs.
Yes, right, right.
And so if Facebook or Instagram, if they don't change the design, people actually kind of get bored.
True. Yeah. Right.
And so they actually have a lot more pressure to constantly change and like do new things, but not also frustrate their users.
Yeah, right, right. Even in emails, no? Like for example, some like Yahoo Mail, they change constantly, no? Their layout, the things, their features for that matter, no? And somehow, if like I am the user, wow, this is something new, no? So you'd like to get more used to it, no? But in your case, Chris, can you give our viewers perhaps, let me see, an example, one or two in your experience where you changed the app, no, or the design or the tool, you change it for some reason, no, and people who were the users or the users were kind of resistant, thus the tool or the design was not like feasible anymore, or was not used at all.
Oh.
Yeah, I wonder, without even going into detail, I don't know, you don't even need to mention the name of the app or something.
It's not so much the design was flawed, but there's one case where we designed a feature
Okay.
in the product. And it was using a technology that was early, or it was new. And the problem is there was another technology that came out maybe 6 months after that made that thing obsolete.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't anticipate that was going to happen.
Of course, I don't think anyone can anticipate something, no?
And so it just
fast
wasn't
as that.
used.
Not used, the one that you had
Yeah.
designed.
Not because it was a bad design, it's
Yeah.
just it was not useful anymore
Okay.
because the technology changed. And,
Okay.
and that can happen sometimes.
Yeah,
But there are other examples
Yeah.
are the tool I work on, which is Android Studio.
Okay.
It started in 2014, and it basically looked the same for 10 years.
Yeah.
And about 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, we decided that we wanted to change the interface because it'd been 10 years, and there were some decisions we made 10 years ago that didn't make sense.
Okay.
And we decided, okay, we'll change it. And of course, a lot of people were like, don't change it. I love this thing. Why would you do that?
Okay.
But the way we actually made it easier to adapt is we said, okay, there are two versions. There's version A, which is the old one,
Okay.
and there's this new one. And we will give you 2 years to get used to version B,
Oh, really, huh?
which is very generous because,
Okay, yeah.
you know,
Yes, yes.
sometimes people just redesign the app and you have no choice.
Right, right. And we just have to accept it, no, as
Yeah.
the users.
But because it was a tool for professionals,
Okay.
we were like, we respect that it will take time to get used to this new design. And so what we will do is we will release it early. And
Okay.
in the next 2 years, we will continuously get feedback from you to improve the new design.
Okay.
But we made it clear in the beginning, we're not going back to the old design.
Yeah. In fact, Chris, that was my next question. No? What happened to the first design?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you that as well. So you did not go back anymore to the first design?
Yeah.
Or did people still use it?
We didn't go back to it. What we did recently is we said, okay, the new design is the default. That's what everyone's going to use going forward.
Okay, okay.
We also did a lot of analytics. So what we did was we actually looked at the metrics,
Yeah,
and we actually got a lot of like feedback from people.
okay.
And I think about 90% of people were like really positive about the new design. And so we said that to our users. We said, look, 90% of you said you really like this design.
Okay.
We see you using it. We think this is the new way forward.
Okay.
we will let you use the old design for 1 more year,
Okay.
and after that,
It's like transitioning, no?
Yeah.
Transitioning, yeah.
after that, you're on your own.
Okay, yeah. But
So-
isn't 10 years a long time not to move, you know, or not to create something?
It can be, but there's a lot of software that never changes,
Okay.
and some people love that.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's like giving us a comfort zone, no?
Yeah.
So, somehow, no?
I mean, so it's interesting because a lot of people there's many people in the U.S. who, I guess it's polarized. There's one half who are like, oh, Apple, you know, they never change the iPhone. The iPhone's
Okay.
always the same.
Yes. Okay.
But then there's a lot of people who are like, that's a good thing. Because it's like, I love my phone, but I don't want to relearn how to use my phone every 2 years. It's why?
Yeah. And I think that is where your job really would create a lot of, I don't know, mind-boggling challenges, perhaps, no? Or do you feel the urge, Chris, to constantly like do new things, you know, in the field where you are in, no? You're a graduate of informatics, as you had mentioned, and that's kind of new. You said that it's kind of new in the U.S. and more so here in the Philippines. The urge, Chris, to create something new or to like experiment on something that has not been tried before.
Yeah, I think it's, as a designer, it's really important to always try new things or learn new things. Like right now, like artificial intelligence or AI,
yeah.
it's kind of taking over everything. You know, ChatGPT came out, and all of a sudden, everyone's using it.
Right. It makes some people's lives easier, but at the same time, it should actually be used intelligently and judiciously, no? Or favorably. Yeah.
Yeah, and
the urge, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, the urge is there, and so I think right now, at least in the tech industry, everyone's really focused on AI and how to make it as useful as possible.
Yeah.
Because it has kind of changed the game for a lot of applications.
Right. Yeah.
And so for me, you know, when it kind of came out, I didn't know much about it, but I kind of had to very quickly learn about it.
Exactly.
But one of the challenges with AI, at least right now, is I think every 6 months it changes.
Okay.
It just keeps getting better and faster, and
Yeah.
it's actually kind of exhausting.
For those who are like
For me?
For you
To keep up.
Yeah, to keep up. I know. In fact, my feeling is like I'm out of breath because of the things that have constantly been changing. Really, no? Yeah. But in your field, you mentioned informatics. What exactly is that?
Well, it's kind of a strange program. So this was at the University of Washington.
Washington, yeah.
In Seattle.
Yes.
It started out as the information school. What it really was library sciences.
Oh, kind of related also, no?
So yeah, it was a program meant for librarians to say like, hey, if you're going to run a library, there's all this information you have to catalog and find, and so that's kind of where it started. But then over time, they tried to kind of mesh it with information technology.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of people in my program were kind of a mix. Like some people were really into organizing information, like in a database. But other people like me were kind of generalist. It's like want to do design, research, coding sometimes, project management. So it actually is, it's a more flexible program, I think, than other IT programs.
Yeah, right. And you have a combination also. You're also a graduate of business administration. Yeah. Is it a good combination? The informatics and business administration. It's like applying, no? Maybe, no? Computer or technology applications, maybe, no?
Yeah. I learned this later in life, but there's this triangle when it comes to software. Actually, many things, but in software, they always say that there's this triangle where all three come together, which is if you want to build a really good product, you have to know the business, you have to understand the technology, and then you have to understand the people.
Okay.
And if you combine all those three things,
then
they all play off each other. And so I didn't do much on the people side. But you know, in that sense, maybe you could be a psychology major, or
right.
or research or marketing where you talk to people. Yeah, for some, there's actually a lot of people who work in the tech industry who don't have a business background.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's something they should spend more time doing, because anyone can build an idea, but like if you understand how business works and how money is generated and how to build a company, then I think you're going to be more successful.
Which came first, your informatics degree or your business administration degree, or did you like pursue them all at the same time, simultaneously?
I started as business because I was going to be an accountant.
Okay.
I was very good at math.
Yeah, very good, very good.
But
so business first, yeah. And then?
But I got bored.
But you finished that degree in business administration.
I was like 80% done.
Okay.
And then I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to leave school yet.
Yeah.
And I was wanting to learn more about computers.
Okay.
Because I always liked computers. And so then I found this other program.
Yeah, the informatics.
Yeah. But then it was another 2 years of college.
Oh.
So I had to tell my parents that, and I was like, I know this sounds crazy, but I really want to do this because I'm not happy with just doing business.
Yes, right, yeah. But I think listening to you now, it's a good combination, no? And a good decision, perhaps?
Yeah, it got me an internship at Microsoft.
Yeah, wow, yeah, right. And then now you're in Google, no?
Yeah, so I was in
With
school,
Google,
and then I got an internship at Microsoft.
And
I was there for about 6.5 years.
Wow, but that was yet your internship period, no?
No, the internship was short. It was
okay.
6 months.
Okay, but still with Microsoft.
Yeah, that was 6 months.
And 6 months internship at Microsoft?
Yeah.
And then you got employed with Microsoft?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time, huh? 6 years.
And then that was 6 years. And then in 2017, I joined Google.
Okay.
And I've been there ever since.
Right. Since 2017. Wow, great. My goodness, no? Something that people would like to emulate as well, Chris, no? Especially with things that you have been doing, my goodness, and also being a member of the Board of Trustees of Foundation University. But we have a segment here, Chris, which I cannot resist. I should also like make you experience this, and it's called Fast Chat or Fast Talk. Before we end this particular segment, like I'll tell you two things. Very quickly, you tell us what your choice is. I will not ask you to explain anything, huh? But very, very fast. You have to give us a fast answer. Okay? Are you ready, Chris?
How fast?
Very fast. Maybe 3 seconds.
Okay.
Very fast. And it's kind of easy anyway. Okay. K-drama or Hollywood flicks or movies?
Hollywood flicks.
Okay, yeah. A quiet dinner or a beach outing?
Quiet dinner.
Yeah, but there, you stop there, no? And you pause for a while.
Well, it depends who's at dinner.
Yeah, depends on company, no? Window shopping or shopping for groceries?
Window shopping.
Okay, not on groceries. Yeah. Anyway, sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
You're a sunset person.
I'm not a morning person.
Okay. Yeah, and then this one, last. Blue or yellow?
Yellow.
And tell your father why you chose yellow, because that was one of his questions in the Hara sa FU.
Blue is just boring.
Okay.
I'm wearing blue right now, but.
Oh yeah, you're wearing blue. Yeah, yellow is like bright, no?
Yeah, I mean blue is safe, but
okay.
You know, if this was less serious, maybe I would wear yellow.
Okay, yeah.
So.
Yeah,
next time.
That's a good answer. Your father will like it. Yeah. Thank you very much, Chris. It has really been very nice talking to you. But yes, before I let you go, no, maybe a parting shot, maybe a few words that you'd like to address to our viewers, to the Foundation University community, to everyone who had known you from way back, and now here you are. This is my first time to meet you, no? But I think people here have known you since you were younger than you are now. You're still young, but younger than you are now. You have the floor, Chris.
I think one thing I've learned on my journey from living here and till now is that you should always kind of be comfortable with adapting and learning. I think that's kind of the best way to keep your life exciting, is just never settle. Always be curious, always ask questions, and don't be afraid to be bad at something. I think that's actually what holds people back from learning is they're like, well, I don't want to be bad at something. And it's like, everyone's bad at something at some point, but the only way to get good is to learn more and practice. And I think I've failed a lot in my life, but I think every time I've failed, I've become better and stronger. And I think you get really good at failing faster. That way you get better faster. So.
Yeah, wow, great. No, I think I'm also listening to you and also at the same time getting like vignettes of information coming from your Lola, your grandma. Yeah, but of course you are a Sinco, thus you are forgiven. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Chris. Huh? Thank you and hope to see you again in the future very soon.
Yeah, likewise.
iGreyhound will be right back, friends.
This is Foundation University Now. Foundation University, in its glorious 75th year, has come a long way. Its growth, both in its physical infrastructure and academic programs, is a leap toward progress and in response to the demands and exigencies of the times. Once a modest institution, it has evolved into a dynamic and influential center of learning, expanding its reach to stakeholders outside of the city and province, while maintaining its being a close-knit, inclusive community. In the past decades, it has expanded its main and north wing campuses with state-of-the-art facilities, embraced cutting-edge technology, and developed a divergent lineup of research, publication, and extension activities to complement its program offerings. Its student population has increased significantly, reflecting a wide-ranging reach and an adherence to diversity. The university now stands as a beacon of innovation and tradition, blending a rich history with a forward-looking vision started by its founder and carried on until today. College of Arts and Sciences. College of Business Administration. College of Computer Studies. College of Criminology. College of Education. College of Hospitality Management. College of Law and Jurisprudence. College of Nursing. College of Agriculture. Department of Fine Arts. Department of Architecture. School of Industrial Engineering and Technology. FPA Grade School, Junior High School, Senior High School. This is Foundation University today as it thrives, strives, comes alive. A high five to the Greyhounds from far and wide.
Yes, and iGreyhound is back once again. And earlier we were talking to one of the Sinco sons. And this time we're talking to another Sinco son. He is actually the third son of our university president, President Victor Vicente Dean Sinco. And I'd like to introduce him to all our viewers. I'd like to introduce Mr. Stephen Akio Sinco. Hi, Stephen, and welcome to iGreyhound.
Hi, how's it going, everyone?
Yes, and I'd like to say welcome back home because the entire family is here to celebrate the 75th or the Diamond Jubilee of our beloved university. Yes. Now, tell us, Stephen, I think our viewers would really be greatly pleased if you tell them what you have been up to, really, no? Since the time you left the university as a child and then migrated to the U.S., of course, you studied in some schools in the Visayas, but we will talk about that in a little while. But you, to give our viewers a background of what you exactly do, you are a marketing and startup guru, as we call it, no?
Yeah,
but as
in progress.
But as you mentioned, you are a work in progress, or you are in progress. Tell us about this particular endeavor, Stephen.
Yeah, so the last 14 years, I've been doing mostly marketing. Well, it's all marketing, but specifically growth marketing for startups, which can be defined as companies that are small to medium sized, about 500 employees or less. But yeah, that's more or less my background in a nutshell.
Okay, yeah, my goodness. No, but that's already a tall order, right? It's one endeavor that perhaps someone who is as young as you are could really be a great chance. Youngish, yeah. I'll not tell them how old you are, maybe later on. Like what you're going into, no? And you started out quite young, as you had mentioned, about 14 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
so I used to live in the Visayas when I was younger, but graduated high school in the States and went to college at the University of Washington in Washington State in America, in Seattle. And I've been working there ever since I graduated college. I have a background in business and finance. My degree.
Yes, and you're based in Seattle now.
Yes, currently.
Yes, okay.
That's right.
Now, startups today, no, in the Philippines and even in Dumaguete, and even specifically in our own university, has quite been prevalent in the last few years or in the more recent years, no? What can a startup business do, especially for someone who may be starting out in this particular field?
Yeah, I think for those viewers that are somewhat new to the term. You probably hear it a lot in pop culture or just in general in business jargon, but the definition of a startup generally is it's a small company, and the goal of the company is to grow very aggressively. And hopefully one day the home run goal is to become a publicly traded company. So generally startups, the definition of a startup leans more towards a technology company because those types of products are the ones that can grow the fastest. So think of things like, the big tech companies, if you're at home on your iPhone, Apple, Microsoft, these all used to be startups. I think I might be misquoting here, but the 80s, 70s, 90s, and they were also able to successfully grow very aggressively, which is not normal for companies historically, and they did it mostly in the States. So that's like a very traditional definition of a startup, but you can think of any small business as a startup, honestly. Like restaurants are startups, started by the little person. You don't have a ton of money, but you have big ambitions, right? So that's a good way to think of it.
Are startups usually innovative?
Yes, usually because of the goals to become publicly traded, like a Google or something, or a Meta or Facebook. Usually it's only a technology product that can grow that fast.
So, but it can also apply to all kinds of so-called businesses or endeavors.
Yes, correct. So what's a good example?
Maybe a small one. What is that?
Chipotle in America, if people have heard of it. They sell
what do they sell?
Americanized Mexican food or South American food. Burritos and tacos.
Not Mexicali, no, it's not Mexicali. Maybe.
I'm not familiar. But anyway, they're known for the burritos and the tacos. They make the food quickly. The food is good. The ingredients are good, and that company has, in the last 20 years, grown very quickly. If you look at the stock price today, it's like the chart just which way? It's going this way. It's going that way. Straight up.
And that is because of what you do, guys, no? In the startup, in the marketing business.
Marketing is one ingredient in the mix of things that make a startup very successful. So, Chipotle's. Sorry, I should have said Chipotle's in the food industry. I don't know. Someone might disagree with me, but the rate at how quickly that company grew, it's not necessarily a technology company, but it grew very fast. I mean, I guess you could say, for the Filipino version would be, maybe back in the day you could say Jollibee. It was a bit of a startup, Prior to Jollibee, you had products like McDonald's or Pizza Hut when it was bigger.
So you remember
back in the
Pizza
day.
Hut?
Now Pizza Hut's kind of a dinosaur company, I guess. But McDonald's is still relevant, and Jollibee, I don't know the name of the founder of Jollibee, but he was technically a startup founder.
Oh, great.
And he brought that product to the Philippines, obviously, and in the United States, where there's a lot of large Filipino communities, everyone knows Jollibee. And that's
and it has grown leaps and bounds, no? Because of branches that have been opened all over the world now.
Yes, that's correct. And even non-Filipinos know Jollibee as a brand name. So it's powerful. So
in other words, Stephen, especially for a startup business, maybe an individual or a corporation or an organization, you had a liner in your profile where you said that if you have a limited budget, or if you have a budget that is only this much, like if we go to you guys, for us to be able to start up something really big, small, and then onwards to big, you can do wonders and make our investment 5 times bigger than how we started. Wow, wouldn't that really be great? So how do you do it?
Well, my perspective on marketing, which is my background, is you have marketing that's like branding, building a personality around a company or a school or a product, and then you have marketing that is focused on quite literally capturing markets. So you are, some people call it conquesting. You're capturing audiences, you're getting them to adopt your product or your service, and in order to accomplish that, you need money. And the ecosystem of marketing, the relationship between marketing, startups, and money, and engineering, all these different titles that you hear about that go into working for a startup, like a software engineer, program manager, CEO, the boss of the company. The people that work for the company, and which includes the marketing and the budget that they receive from investors, they have to work together to bring the products to market, capture audiences, and then continuously grow very aggressively. To go back to your question, how do you use budget to grow a company? It depends on the scale of the company. Like maybe if you're a company with 10 people or a company with 1,000, you need maybe, I'm not a CFO, but I'm gonna probably butcher some finance numbers here, but if your objective is to have the company to generate 100 million pesos per year or something, very big goal, right?
Yes, very big, especially if you're just starting, no?
You can look, you generally, the cost of acquiring that revenue consistently across all companies, doesn't matter if it's American, European, or in Asia, the marketing budget and the sales budget is a percentage of that. The cost of doing the sales and the marketing. So that's like a very large company, and you can work backwards, and even if you're a small company, you still have those same ratios. So going back to your question, it's like, how do you grow a company? It's like, well, you need a budget, you need a product that you can bring to the market that can generate revenue, that has a price, and you need to spend that budget wisely to acquire the customers, acquire the people to work for you, and at the end of the day, hopefully 10% of all the money you spent, you get to realize as income. So I hope that wasn't too long.
Yes. I think so. Yeah, I think we're getting there, no? Should a startup also, are startups interrelated to marketing and branding, or which would come first? Or should they all be interchangeable?
I think that's a good question. It's so the definition of marketing is, to me, one is branding, one is growth marketing. So if you're a small company and you're trying to start out, you should approach the growth marketing challenge as, how do I spend X amount of dollars and receive X amount of money back? And you can do that through digital marketing, analytics, all these Google Analytics, Facebook ads. You can look at the numbers and see how much money you're making off the ads. And then the second part is, what is the brand or the identity of my product? That piece, when you're very small as a company, is it's very similar to meeting a friend for the first time. You don't know them, right? You know what they look like. And you have perceptions of this product or this person. But the brand and the personality of this product or service, it develops naturally over time, and it cannot be forced. That's kind of my short answer.
Is a goal as well? No, well, a company should have a goal, right? But how is this different from an objective or objectives? A goal versus an objective, or objectives for that matter. Goals versus objectives.
Goals versus objectives.
What should I focus on first if I go into startups?
Assuming your position is you own your startup, your goal is ultimately, as the owner, to grow. Right?
Always, I think.
Always. And that's your goal, and the people you hire, that ultimately becomes the team goal, the company goal. But then underneath that, there are sub-goals, like your marketing team might have a different goal, your HR team might have a different goal, your sales team, etc. But ultimately, revenue and growth of the company is going to be the North Star. At least for a startup, the ultimate goal is usually derived from this concept called a total addressable market. So, for example, I might butcher this, but if you're at home, you can Google it, total addressable market. Or if you're in business, you can look it up.
Total address.
Total addressable market.
Addressable market,
Yes. TAM.
T-A-M, yes, okay.
So a really good example is, the total addressable market is basically the total population of potential customers. And then how much could you sell to that audience? So a great example is the total addressable market of education.
Okay.
Everyone has to go to school, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
you can kind of figure out the total addressable market of, like, let's suppose I want to start I don't know, like I want to start a kindergarten.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you could just look at the total in the Philippines. I want to start a kindergarten in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Actually, let's do something more fun.
Kindergarten school, or maybe
No,
a,
let's do
a school, or
we could do like
maybe
food, something with food.
yeah, food.
Yeah, like
or maybe a new brand, or
like we'll just do like a new
maybe something that is a hit in the market. What is
or
a hit
let's
now?
do a clothing brand. Let's do a clothing
okay,
brand.
okay.
Athletic clothing. Athletic clothing for young people.
Specific audience. Okay.
Yeah, people in
okay.
college. Athletic clothing, people in college. If I were trying to start a company to sell that product
Yeah.
to the audience in the Philippines, you would look at how many people are that age
Okay.
every year.
So the bracket, no?
Yeah, and then I would look at similar companies that already exist.
Okay.
How much items they sell per year.
Yes, yes,
do the
yes.
math. Maybe they sell, you know, the billions of pesos of clothing every year. And for me, as a new entrant into the market, I would say, like, what if I was able to capture 5% of that?
Okay.
And then you work backwards. Like, well, 5% might be, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
a couple billion pesos, right?
Yeah,
and then
okay.
you would work backwards and figure out, like, how many units I need to sell, what kind of units. When I say unit, I mean like clothing items.
Clothing. Okay.
It could be pants, shirts, shoes. You know, how much of that do I need to sell? How am I going to sell it? What's it going to look like?
Yeah.
Who's going to make it for me? Who's going to market it for me? And it's not, you know, high level, it sounds very easy, but
Yeah.
you know, spend a lot of
Yes.
time having to do the process of breaking things down. But the long explanation, but to going back to your question, that's how you find a North Star.
Yes. Okay.
Generally, for a startup, it's you work backwards from some type of total addressable market.
Yeah.
And,
Do you fill in? So in other words, listening to you, Stephen, it's like you're filling in a gap that other companies or other clothing lines may not be able to address to a particular market.
Yeah.
What do they not have that I can offer?
Yeah.
Is it something like that?
It is very similar. You can either, you don't have to necessarily be original and just make exactly what the competitors are making,
Yeah.
but you make it just a little bit cooler. You market it a little
Okay.
bit better.
Okay.
Maybe Kim Kardashian wears it on Instagram,
Okay.
you know, like she
Yeah,
wears the
yeah,
t-shirt.
yeah.
It's like, oh my God,
Okay.
like, look how
Yeah.
cool this brand is all of a
Yeah.
sudden. But it could be an identical product to your competitors.
Okay.
So you could still make great money not having to be that product creative.
Yeah, yes.
But you can
yes.
get creative with the execution of
Yeah.
things, other things.
Yeah.
Or you can invent a totally new clothing line.
Yeah.
So like going back to the example, if we're gonna sell athletic clothes to younger folks, I could either just sell a new version of tank tops, or I can
Okay.
invent a new type of clothing
Yeah, you can
that
do that.
no one's ever
Yes,
worn,
Yes.
like a T-shirt with
Maybe.
I don't know, like some weird design or something.
Yeah.
But that's very experimental.
Yeah.
So I mean, could work,
Yeah.
might not work. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it could work, it could not. But again,
Yeah.
this is where innovation comes in, right?
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
creativity of your team or one's team.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
timing helps a lot too. Like,
okay.
especially with clothing. I mean, I'm not in the clothing industry,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
trends come and go. So if you just get the right design at the right
Okay,
time, you could.
Okay.
You know, a good example is denim.
Denim, yeah.
Denim's back.
Denim, yeah, denim.
Oh, I'm wearing denim.
Yeah.
In the 2000s,
Sometime,
denim died a little bit 5 years
yeah.
ago, but it's back.
Kinda, yeah. It's
Yeah.
back. I'm wearing denim now.
Crocs are back. Crocs are back.
Crocs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. So in other words, it's really like looking out for what the market wants, no?
Yes. Or you get ahead of it.
Okay, getting ahead of it, but again, it's still like, as you had mentioned, like going backwards, no? To what else do they need, or how else can we satisfy what they really want?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, is the want or desire of a particular market usually feasible? I'm just wondering. The market may want this, they may desire this, but you as the startup guy, for example, no, may not find it feasible. I wonder.
or maybe
or
the current products are not good.
maybe something, no?
Yeah,
Would I make a big turnaround then?
like maybe take the risk of doing a new product.
Something like, yes.
Yeah, I think a really great example of that is the iPhone is probably one of the best examples.
Yes, right.
Before iPhones, I was still very young, so I'm kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know this firsthand. You read about it in books and movies. But, you know, you had your landline.
Yes, exactly.
Email had to be done through
Landline.
dial-up.
Yes.
All these different devices.
Yeah. And then the fax machine
Yes.
and everything.
And, you know, Apple at the time, or Microsoft, was just competing with it in a sense, they could have just launched newer versions of that that already existed, a new landline, a new operating system to do email, etc.
An OS.
But Apple and I guess Steve Jobs, yes, Steve Jobs takes credit for this, and everyone who works with him, for sure. They decided to build an iPhone, and everyone's like, what is this, right?
Okay.
And I remember when iPhones first came out, I was like, this is too much. Like, why do you need this brick? I mean, it wasn't like a brick like the old phones, but it was just like, why do you need to do email on this thing? Just do it on your dial-up or whatever, you know?
Yes.
And the next thing you know, 10 years, everyone has it. So,
Yes.
that's a really good example.
Yeah. So things really evolve, no? Things evolve, not necessarily because it's what the market wants, but maybe because technology really is fast-paced.
Yeah, you could, the term people use is product market fit, which I think is a very good word for a lot of folks in business to know. Product market fit, which means this product, people want it and it's proven. So shoes, clothing, education, banking have product market fit. Healthcare, that's just what we do. You need it, right?
Right.
And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just create a better version of that.
Yes.
And then you have things like the iPhone came out, which doesn't have product market fit. It's like, well, what is an iPhone? I don't know.
Yes.
But there is product market fit for calling people, emailing people. So they launched the iPhone because they thought it can consolidate the product market fit into one thing. And so there's kind of, ultimately what you want is the product market fit, which is the North Star, and that comes in different versions.
Yeah. You were talking earlier, Stephen, about a team, no? Your team or one's team. How does one find the most suitable team for a particular outlet, for a particular startup? Or can you change the team periodically?
I think that's a good question. It depends on how the stage of your company. So to keep things kind of simple, you have early stage employees. The skills you hire will change, you know, naturally. But I think the fundamental thing that applies to all startups, all small companies is, and even large companies, is there's this term, I think it was in a book, I forget the name of the book, but there's this concept called wave riders and wave creators. And
wave,
like surfing, like a wave.
Wave.
So,
wave writers or wave creators.
Yes, when you are starting a company, you need to hire wave creators.
Okay.
Meaning, there's nothing to inherit. There's no work. There's just an idea, and people just kind of do everything.
Wow.
And these people tend to be generalists. So you might have a person who's in marketing, but they also do sales, and they sometimes also do finance. Or you have an engineer that also does the graphic design. So these are the wave creators. They build things, builders.
Yes.
But once your company starts getting bigger, you need to hire wave riders. And these are people that are very good at executing day to day, being organized. They don't, generally they don't like too much chaos, but they can get stuff done.
Really?
But their personality types tend to be more around structure. And then sometimes the wave creators don't do well in structure because they just are kind of like, they like the Wild West, running and gunning. And so I think, to answer your question about who do you hire, it's if you're starting out early, try to hire people that just are kind of go-getters. But once your product has some momentum, you should seriously try to hire people that are more regimented, a little bit more traditional.
Following a structure perhaps.
And they're good at making structures.
Great.
Because if you don't have a structure, you can't hire more people.
But wave creators and wave writers can also be useful, or they also have a role to play, I suppose.
The wave creators are the ones who start the company, who make sense of a lot of the chaos, and try to get the product in front of customers as soon as possible. with minimal budget, and then the wave riders are the ones who inherit some of the successes and scale things up. That's the term people use, scaling.
Yeah. In Dumaguete, and I'm talking about this in a general sense, no, Stephen, at least per experience here in the city, there are many aspiring entrepreneurs, no? And in fact, you may have gone around the city, no? A lot has changed, no? Since the last time you came here. Like, there are many small and even medium-scale businesses that have sprouted, and perhaps I'm not exactly sure whether they have gone into like something like a startup, no, or not. But there are many really. So these are aspiring young entrepreneurs. What would you advise them if they want to go into something bigger, or perhaps try out something that is not exactly within their zone, or perhaps within their taking?
Like within their expertise?
Maybe kind of? Within their expertise, or perhaps within their field. Or I'm not just talking about a profession, but it could practically be anything. So long as they make a business out of it. It could practically be anything under the sun. Because we have so many here in the city, really.
So kind of like just general entrepreneurs.
Yeah, general entrepreneurs. It could be food, it could be clothing, as you mentioned. It could be just about anything that they can think of, no? But I look at it as an innovation. No? I look at it as very enterprising also.
Yeah, there's only so much you could say in an interview, but I think if I were first starting out, this is kind of what I did 10 years ago, is there are some really great books on just high-level understanding the core functions of a business. So I would look up top 5 books on branding, top 5 books on running a small business, like Finance for Dummies kind of thing. Top 5 books on entrepreneurship. Try find the 5 pillars of running a business, read a book on each one, because after a while the books all say the same thing. And then that will give you a really strong foundation to know where to start, and those books will apply to any business you start. But if I had to give my personal take, I think there's a lot of power in doing the backwards, they call it the napkin math, the easy math on the total addressable market of your idea. And you just, you Google it, or probably explain it better than I do, but that is the, if you have a good, big total addressable market, you have a very high ceiling to go far. Good example is, I can't think of a major Filipino-based tech company, but something that's globally known is Jollibee, right? Total addressable market of fast food, right?
Yes, great.
Whoever made Jollibee, who's the founder? Do you know?
I don't know, but I think it's a Filipino food chain. Very Filipino. Filipino.
The total addressable market is global. Everyone wants food, so they started small and they went big.
So you don't like espouse for something like a hit and miss effort.
You mean experimentation?
Yes, something like I start up on something, and then if I may miss it, then fine. Then I'll go ahead with another project, perhaps. No, hit and miss, but I don't know if that would really be good.
No, I think naturally you will have hit or misses. It's just part of the process, but make sure your misses are smart misses. Which solving for looking at the total addressable market, looking at things like product market fit, making sure there's demand for your product. Those will make your misses much smarter, but all you have to do is hit one, and then you're good to go.
My goodness. Not several misses, no? Not several misses, but maybe several hits. I think so, no?
I think something I forgot to mention is the most important thing you can do is actually talk to your customer. And do the total addressable math stuff, which is great, but talk directly to your customers, and 9 out of 10 times you'll know why something missed or not. And then have the humility to self-correct as well. There tends to be, your company's your baby, right? You can get very personal.
Yes, right.
Sometimes you have to give up on your not your baby, but your company.
Yeah,
Never give up on your kids.
Yeah,
no.
go through birth pains, no? Because your company is starting.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and yes, Stephen, I had told you this, in this particular segment, we also have this so-called fast chat or fast talk. With a few minutes that we have left, don't worry, it's not going
I'll
to
try
be,
my best,
it's not going to be embarrassing, but I think it's cute, no?
Okay.
Yeah, I think you know how it goes. I think our viewers will love it. We love this. Like, I'll give you 2 items or 2 things. You just choose very quickly. I'm not even going to ask you to explain your choice, huh? Okay, are you ready, Stephen?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, great. Lights out or lights off? Quickly, lights out, lights off.
Lights off.
Okay.
Lights dim.
Boxer shorts or pajamas? Quickly. Boxer shorts or pajamas?
Silk pajamas. Yeah.
Reggae or pop music?
Let's go with pop music because reggae is. I like reggae, but it only works when it's sunny.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pop music.
Yeah, if I had to listen to one thing for the rest of my life, probably pop.
Long or short tresses? Hair. Long or short
Hair.
tresses or hair?
Hair.
Yeah, hair.
Long hair.
Yeah. Our viewers are listening to you, huh? And we're being beamed all over the world. And then the last one, no, don't worry. A whirlwind relationship or a long engagement?
Long engagement? Yeah, long engagement.
Okay. You're
Yes.
pretty more of a Filipino if you say long engagement.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's
Yes,
a good
okay.
thing.
Yeah, it's really been nice talking to you, Stephen. Hope we can have you back, no? Maybe in your next trip back home, back in your university. My goodness, this is truly a legacy of your grandfather. And now your father is our university president. And of course, we had the launch of the biography of your grandmother, Dr. Sinco.
That's right.
Yeah, our president emeritus. And truly, this is such an honor for all of us to now have met you. My first time to meet you, but many among those who have been here at the university for a long time have seen you grow, right? As a child, and then now finally here you are. I'll not mention how old you are, no? But anyway, before we end this particular segment and this particular episode, really, Stephen, perhaps you have some words as a parting shot to our viewers. Everyone out there, no? Maybe alumni, maybe the faculty and staff, students, everyone who you would like to address to in this particular episode. You have the floor, Stephen.
Yeah, I think first thing I want to say is it's an honor to be here and have everyone take the time to listen to this if you still made it through this segment. So thank you, and thank you for having me. A parting thing that I hope this talk has been helpful because it's been focused on business and startups. I will say, if you're out there and you're trying to start something and trying to start a company that could really grow, or you're trying to just make some great money in business, I think there's no better time than now in the world to do that. You can work for tech companies overseas through Zoom now like never before, and we all have more access to people around the world and customers than ever before. So I think we're blessed to have that opportunity. So never give up on what you have now, I think.
Truly very inspiring words, huh, Stephen?
Yeah, I really believe that.
Yeah, very good. And perhaps this is also going to be our parting shot for this particular episode, friends. Quoting Stephen, and perhaps corollary to what Stephen had mentioned. If you can dream it, then you can do it. Thank you very much once again, Stephen.
That's right.
So with that, friends, we bring to a close another episode of iGreyhound. Please do not forget, we are also being streamed live on the Facebook page of Foundation University, and we are telecast on Channel 6 of Phil Products TV Dumaguete. Please do not forget, we have replays on Channel 6 every Friday and Saturday. That's tomorrow, in fact, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 in the afternoon. Thank you very much once again to my stylist, Miss Rofi of Yvonne's Closet, for my chic clothes on the show as always. This has been Cecile Henove bidding everyone a pleasant evening.
Since its inception in 1949, Foundation University has carved a place in academia, the home of the Greyhound. This school is a vanguard of technology, innovations, strategy, collaboration, and new directions towards excellence and quality. It has grappled with various challenges, most recently, the worldwide pandemic. Its faculty and staff, students, and alumni remain true to the core values of excellence, commitment, integrity, and service. Foundation University will soon celebrate its Diamond Jubilee anniversary. It stands ready for what the future holds. We have built a community of influence started by founder Dr. Vicente G. Sinco. It is committed to a mission of making education accessible to all. On our 75th, Foundation University thrives to consistently realize its mission and vision, strives to be relevant in the exigencies of the times, comes alive despite circumstances, and in the process makes a headway for a high five to the rest of the world.
High five!